Hey there, this is Ill Factor from beatacademy.com. Working with A-list artists is a tremendous blessing for me. With each artist and project that I'm a part of, I get to see a new perspective of how that artist shares their message with the world. And a while back, I invited a good friend of mine to come into the studio and just vibe and collaborate on some ideas. I was going through some files on my hard drive, and I had a folder tucked away that I didn't really, of beats and stuff that I really wasn't too happy about, or maybe that I just played out. And it accidentally just opened and played one of the tracks in that folder. And my friend immediately heard it. It struck a chord with him, and he was like, wow, this is really cool. And he started writing and vibing to it. And so we started collaborating and working on that. And then he took it with him. And a couple days later, I get a phone call saying, hey, I'm in a studio session with Sia, and she's liking that vibe that we started. Could she jump on board and start writing with it? And I was like, no, how dare she? Of course, man, let her jump on. So, going back and forth between myself, Kevin, and Sia, we really liked the end product, what we ended up with. So it was a great song. And now it was just time to find a home for that song. Well, you'd think, having Sia demo the vocal, write the song with you, it'd be a no-brainer and anybody would accept the song and the rest would be history. Well, I want to share with you in this video 2 things that I've learned from that whole experience of not only just working with Sia, but the whole thing that goes behind having a song placed with an artist. Well, after that song was initially written with myself, Sia, and the other writer, we realized that it wasn't going to be as easy as just immediately like playing it for somebody and then, oh, wow, this is great. I'll have so-and-so sing it and cut it. It was a grueling 4 years. It took 4 years before we actually found a home for that song. Throughout that time, people were like, hey, so-and-so wants it, or, this person over here really loves the record and they want to sing it. And as Sia became more and more popular and in demand, more and more people were just more interested in the song. But there was just a lot of back and forth. But the number one takeaway I got from this whole thing is that it wouldn't have started if my friend Kevin didn't hear the track to begin with. And I know at times it could feel like some of the tracks and ideas that you have tucked away in your hard drive just aren't good enough, right? But what I learned here is that one person's trash is another person's treasure. And so just because you've beat that, idea to the ground, you might have heard this track maybe thousands of times, and it's not really bringing any new inspiration for you. I want to encourage you to know that for somebody else, it'll be the first time they hear it. It's going to be fresh to their ears. And so you got to keep that mindset and perspective when showcasing some of your work, or even allowing others and inviting others to a collaborative effort to help you move forward with your music. And so in light of that, I realized, I hated this idea, or I really wasn't vibing with it, but yet to this other person, they loved it. And then to my surprise, that ended up getting into the hands of somebody else who really loved it. So that's takeaway number 1, is your trash could be somebody else's treasure. So be open to that thought. Now, after the song was circulating and we finally found the home for it, it ended up being placed on DJ artist Kygo's album Cloud 9, and the song is called Oasis. We then featured Foxes, which is a phenomenal artist, and so she ended up actually singing the song, and we invited Kygo into the process of the production and songwriting. But now we're inviting more people into the party, and so with that comes the whole thought process of, how is this going to happen? How do we split the percentages? And I could have, by all means, just stood my ground and said, you know what? I wrote the song with so-and-so and we're standing our ground and this is how much we want and we're not budging. But then I had to realize that 10% of something is much better than 100% of nothing. And that's something that we have to understand in this world of music creation, where we're constantly collaborating and inviting others into the process. That you have to understand that 10% of something is way better than 100% of nothing. Now, there are times that you do have to stand your ground. I'm not saying give up 100% of your publishing. Don't ever do that. But yet, find a good common ground to work with. Now, I knew that there were some pretty big players coming in the field. So I was like, you know what? I don't mind. I'll move over a little bit. I'm not going to get greedy because I'd rather build a relationship with the artist and the people in between mediating this whole process. I'd rather build a relationship with them, make it a healthy relationship. That way, in the long run, it's a better gain for me, as opposed to that immediate short term. We're like, nope, this is what I want, and that's how I want it. And just not being humble about that whole experience was going to cost me a good lasting relationship, not only with the other artists involved, but with the management team and everybody helping this song come to life. So eventually the song came out. It was a great hit, and it's been doing great. So those are the two biggest takeaways from this whole experience, is that what you think isn't really good or something that you might have heard thousands of times could be perceived as something fresh and new to someone else. So if you're in that rut, if you're not liking a lot of stuff, put it aside in a folder, invite somebody else into the listening process. Maybe they might hear something and collaborate with something else. Number two is, in the midst of that collaboration, understand that it's better to have ownership of something, than something of nothing. So what I mean by that is, just keep in mind that there is going to be some compromise down the road, and you want to be able to have that kind of teachable spirit, that kind of mindset that allows you to allow that wiggle room to happen. Now, I hope this has been encouraging and inspiring to you, and these are just a little bit of things that I've picked up along the way of producing music for a living for the past 17 years or so. And if you want to learn more, I also share some more tips on how to actually build a successful music career, and I've put them all together, I've compiled them all together in an ebook, and it's yours absolutely free. Just simply click the link below in the description box, and I will send this ebook to you right away. Or you can also visit www.beatacademy.com/book. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.